allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, this meeting has been duly advertised in the Asbury Park Press, issue of August 1st, 2015. All municipal clerks of the township and boroughs within the regional high school districts have been duly notified, and the requirements of posting of notices have been met. Approval of district operations. Do attendance?
If I may.
Sure.
Just an amendment, a note to the amendment of the topics discussed in executive session. 2 additional topics were added to that agenda. A student matter under item number 3, and also potential litigation included under item number 7. So just a note for the public.
Organizational items. I need a district of approval of district operations. I need a motion.
Motion.
Liz. Any questions, comments? Roll call.
Mr. Acetola?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mrs. Canario?
Yes.
Mr. Carollo?
Yes.
Mrs. Fankhauser?
Yes.
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Messinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Sotero?
Yes. I need a motion for approval of the minutes.
Motion. Second.
Questions? Comments? Roll call.
Mr. Acetola?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Canario?
Abstain.
Mr. Carollo?
Yes.
Mrs. Fankhauser?
Yes.
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Messinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Sotero?
Yes. Communications are maintained on file in the office of the board secretary. That brings us to the superintendent's report.
All right, good evening, everyone. Just a few items. So this is graduation week for the Freehold Regional High School District. We have rain in the forecast, which would be the first time that has occurred in quite some time in the district. We're watching that closely. Obviously, the building principals and the building administrators have Plan B and Plan C and are ready to implement those plans in the event that we do have inclement weather. The difficulty is obviously when we're outside, the folks can come and there's much greater capacity for a crowd. So tickets are limited when we do the inside graduations. We haven't. I think the last time we even went inside was one of the buildings 8 or 9 years ago. So it's been quite some time since we've had to deal with that. We're going to keep our fingers crossed, but we do have all those plans in place. I reached out to the principals today just to make sure that they're all ready to go. They've been planning graduation for weeks, so they're all set with their contingency plans. And hopefully we won't have to use them on Thursday, but it's certainly a concern. We also have the Raise graduation on Wednesday of this week. We're graduating 16 students. That's a record high from the Raise Academy, so that will be Wednesday at 5 o'clock, I believe, correct? Yeah. And then tomorrow we have one of the more fun events of the year for me. We have our new faculty and staff meet and greet. So what we do each year, and we started doing this several years ago, is all the new hires that are scheduled to start effective September 1 of next year. Rather than waiting until new teacher orientation in August, we bring them in June, spend some time with them. Mr. Moses always comes and gives some remarks, and then I go through an overview of expectations and things that they should be thinking about over the summer and looking to do to really hit the ground running in September. And then our executive student cabinet, actually, the past couple of years, we've started having them do a presentation from the student voice to the new faculty and staff in the district and what's important to them And so the executive student cabinet students will do that. And then they'll be transitioning the new members for the 16-17 school year, the exec student cabinet. We always have sort of a combined meeting of the two, so there's a lot of some icebreaker activities and things like that, and so that the students that just went through the cabinet can explain to the forthcoming members the expectations for what it means to be on that cabinet and some of the things that they can look forward to over the course of next school year. And then finally, next week we have an administrative retreat planned. We're not going anywhere or spending any money. It's in this room, and what we've done the past couple years is really take a couple days before the end of June. I spend one full day just sort of highlighting district vision initiatives for the 12-month administrators, and then we spend some time on the second day really working collaboratively with the building administrators on developing their goals for the upcoming school year. And really sort of like pinpointing what some of those areas we're going to really focus on. So it's usually a great session. It's worked very well the past couple of years. It allows us to, the second this school year ends, really hit the ground running and start planning for next school year, so that we don't waste any time over the summer. And then finally, I know there was an incident in a neighboring school district, and where individuals sort of gained access to a building and filmed, something that was really ultimately inappropriate. But I had some folks reach out to me who were concerned about our processes for vetting speakers and guests in the building and making sure that the adults in our buildings are doing what they're supposed to do. And so we've reviewed all those protocols, but we also thoroughly vet anyone who's coming into our building, whether it's for a presentation, to give an award, to recognize anything, to any outsider who's coming into our building. Those credentials are reviewed thoroughly. There's no entrance into any of our buildings other than through the main entrance through security. And then we're careful to reiterate to our staff over and over again the importance of appropriate conduct, understanding that that doesn't guarantee that folks won't make stupid decisions or regretful decisions, but we certainly do everything that we can administratively to mitigate those possibilities. So that concludes my report.
Bring us to board reports, curriculum and instruction. Do they have no meeting? Finance.
Okay, we had a meeting on May 10th here at the administration building, and basically we got an update from Buildings and Grounds on what's going to go on over the summer. They're going to work on the ventilation systems in 4 different schools: Howell, Marlborough, Township, and Manalapan. There's also going to be various jobs with respect to painting, refinishing floors, and paving. If you look at Marlborough, Manalapan, and Colts Neck, they all need paving work in their parking lots. We've talked about the tracks over the past several months, and they're all in good shape. I believe the track in Marlborough opened back that week. It was going to open the day after our meeting on the 11th, and I know that's open now. Borough opened, and I believe Manalapan opened June 1st.
It's been a long journey.
Yeah. And then we also talked about a couple of the items that are on the agenda for us to approve tonight with respect to the dental and vision broker and the engineer. And there's also an insurance broker on here. With respect to the food service program, the New Jersey Department of Agriculture was here for a review. Their focus really is on the free and reduced lunch program. Switching gears, we talked about the lead in the water. Of course, there was the big controversy, not just in Flint, Michigan, but in the Newark public school system. So the state of New Jersey started looking at that, and our administration here met with the township engineer of Freehold Township. And there are new state guidelines about lead in the water. And basically at the meeting, we were told about the process that is undertaken at all the different water fountains and other points where water is disseminated to people, where it could be drunk drunken, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the proper phrase is for that. And the ballpark estimate for all these repairs is almost $100,000. There is the potential we could get money from the state for all of that, but that's not something, I don't think anyone's counting on the state paying for anything that they mandate. And then finally, we talked about the transportation depot, and there's a 3-year lease in place there. It's got some time left, and basically we're probably going to get together with a cost-sharing agreement about paving the parking lot there. And basically that was all that we talked about.
Thank you. Anybody from policy, does policy have a meeting?
No.
No? Okay. Go ahead.
If I may, yes. Before we get to the public comments on the agenda, I do have some modifications to the agenda. 2 items in addition to the original agenda. One is an amendment to H4, add the name for coach advisor Richard Euro at Howell High School, head coach boys soccer, step 4, $7,821. Also H9, change of status. Leanne Reckenwald on the April 25th agenda was reappointed for the upcoming school year. The new action is social studies teacher at Colts Neck High School, change to academic supervisor at Freehold High School. MA step 6, salary $92,000, effective August 18th, 2016 through the end of the school year, June 30th, 2017. Also, please remove item K10, approval of settlement agreement. That's being removed from consideration for tonight.
Okay. Public participation, Ms. Dime? You can come up to the mic, please.
My name is Eric Stein. I'm an Alvin resident. I moved here about 8 years ago. My kids in high school were about 5 and 7 years old. About a year ago, I'm a lacrosse player. I grew up playing lacrosse in high school, college, and I still play today. But a year ago, I started an Alvin lacrosse club. We had grown. We had 14 last summer. We've now grown to almost 100 kids in grades kindergarten through 6th grade. They're all in Alvin residents. We play down all over all the Monmouth and Ocean County. We have a huge spring season and a summer program. We are careful to that into our fall season. A lot of the 5th and 6th graders are asking and inquiring about a high school program in Alvin. I know this has been discussed before. I've spoken with Adam and John before about starting this and how to get this started, and we sort of hit a little bit of an impasse. And I'm here to just talk about how we can possibly get this implemented, if we can get this implemented, and what the steps we need to take to get it implemented is. Right now, I do not have any 7th and 8th graders playing, with the understanding that I don't think it's going to happen next year or the year after. But I'm here early to start talking about it, because all these parents think that you understand that 5th and 6th graders now are asking me what's going on with the program, and I have to give them an answer. So I'm here to sort of open a dialogue, talk about it. Adam and John have been great about giving me some support, some feedback, some roadblocks that have occurred in the past. I know in the district, the only 2 schools that don't have men's lacrosse or boys lacrosse is us and Borough. That's all I've got at this point. Once you guys have some feedback.
We appreciate you raising the issue. It's something that I've been in contact with Dr. Angelosi and Mr. Hine about. We've updated the board about. We'll take a look at it, but there's a process behind that. There are a lot of other considerations. Certainly, Title IX is a consideration. Field space is a consideration. Finances to a lesser degree, because there's a cost associated with that. The district historically placed a moratorium on adding new athletic teams somewhere around 2008, 2009, in the year of the bad budget when the state aid was dramatically reduced. The only athletic program that's been added in the past decade or so is for the ice hockey teams, which are funded by parents. But we're certainly open to taking a look at it, and we'll go from there with what that process might be, but I wouldn't pretend to be able to answer you at the table tonight on whether we would okay that or not.
Sure, I understand, and that's the reason why I'm here, because I've been down this road about a year ago. I started thinking about that a lot, and actually had a meeting with both Adam and John, and I heard those three reasons why we can't get the sport. I looked into all three of those, and I've actually come up with proposals for all three of those. I'd like to sort of try and start some sort of dialogue, a roadmap, something for the next 3 years, so that when my sixth graders become high school freshmen, high school sophomores, they have an avenue to continue playing lacrosse. A lot of these parents look at this as a great booming sport. There's 240 programs in New Jersey that have high school boys lacrosse right now. I don't know how many high schools there are total, but that's a pretty large number to not have a high school program here. I want to, as opposed to just saying these are the three issues, I'd like to try and come up with some sort of solution. And we're not going to solve it tonight, I understand that. But the idea is to open that dialogue up, because as we all know, time flies. Next thing you know, my sixth graders and my fifth graders who were on the field, they just finished about 17 minutes ago. They played Allentown's tonight. They're going to be looking for answers, and they're going to want to have an avenue to deal with play. And that's all I'm looking for, is sort of answers and what's the next step? How can I be involved in that process? Is there going to be, can we put some sort of steering committee together, maybe to sort of talk about, who's going to be helping? I'm happy to be involved with that. I've got a ton of parents that are willing and excited about getting this thing started. I can get volunteers to come and help, to support it. Any which way needs to be done, I'm happy to do it. My parents are happy to do it. From a financing standpoint, we're happy to do fundraisers, raise money, whatever it is. We have a lot of good ideas and suggestions in terms of how that happens. Field availability, I have a very good relationship with the Manalapan Rec Center. And I know that's been done in the past for high school sports and playing at the Manalapan Rec. There are answers to these problems. The thing that says that there's three different reasons why we can't have it, we need to find answers. These kids want to be able to play, they're good athletes, they should be able to play, there should be some good avenue for them to play. As opposed to having to try and go to another high school to play, go to a private school to play. There should be that opportunity here. And you're right, financially it's not that big a burden to add a sport. I've done finances, I know approximately what it costs. I coached high school 2 years ago at West Windsor South. So I know what the coaches make, and I know relatively what the busing costs are to ship them from scheduling aspects of it. So I'd like to be able to be a part of that process. If we can get that started, I'm happy to help steer that committee. I'm happy to get involved. I'm happy if anyone else wants to sort of work on it. I don't know what the next steps are, though. I'm looking to you guys for some answers, some direction.
So the next steps are you brought it to us tonight, and we'll go back and look at it, and we'll sit down and we'll follow up with you from there. I mean, that's the process. There's a number of things that we need to look into. It's not really appropriate for me to get into a back and forth now on it. But point well taken. We understand that there's a group in Manalapan that wants a lacrosse program. We've got a whole district to take a look at. We will take a look at that earnestly. We'll sit down. But the first real discussion is going to be at the building level, and then grow out from there. And so the three reasons aren't no's. They're obstacles, and they're legitimate obstacles. So I don't want to devalue those in any way, because we have a number of considerations that we have to take with a program like this, and there's a reason that new programs haven't been introduced in the past 10 years. It doesn't mean they can't be, but it means that there's an awful lot of back work that has to take place to really look at it and flush it out thoroughly.
Because my older kids or my sixth graders are starting to get older and starting to ask. And it's an appropriate question to ask, and there's a need for it. There's a lot of kids out there that are playing, a lot more that are going to start playing. And I just want to make sure those steps are being taken. If there's anyone I can follow up with, I know you're going to take appropriate steps, but if you can contact me or give me my information.
And Dr. Angelozzi is going to follow up with you. It's going to start there.
Great. That's all I want to know.
And we appreciate your timeliness, that it's not tomorrow that you want to try.
To be honest, I'm turning myself 8th graders away that want to play. I'm saying that to other towns, because there's no point in me coaching 8th graders. There's no point in me having the other kids come out. This is not going to be a high school team next year. By the time they're seniors in high school, I don't want to start coaching kids that never played before when you get to high school. You want to have that feeder program up to high school. That's the idea. So that's why my 6th graders are my oldest one right now. Next year they'll be 7th graders, and they're 2 years away. So now the time's starting to fly a little bit. So I just want to make sure that we're all focused on this. And it is, it's not a huge issue in the world. I recognize that. It's only sports, but at the same time, sports are a nice outlet for a lot of these kids. straight. They run a lot of good concepts from sports, and I think it's something that we really should take a look at.
Mrs. Stein,
Yes.
are you looking for a JV program when those kids become freshmen?
that's something-
Do they have that skill level?
So that's something that we can talk about. So JV would certainly be the minimum. These kids are good. They did the sixth graders, my third, fourth
And
graders.
how many are there?
There's a little less than 100 kids right now in the program. But that includes kindergarten up through sixth
How
grade.
about the sixth graders?
The sixth graders, I've got 7 sixth graders, and I've got about 20 fifth graders. So it's one of those things. My fourth graders are my biggest class that are becoming fifth graders next year, and my fifth sisters are going to be very strong next year. My third and fourth grade team, they were very strong. They were for their first year playing. They're all they play soccer, they play football, and some play basketball.
So the sixth graders that you have right now, who are going to be the summer when they become freshmen, you have over 20?
My fifth graders, I have over 20. My sixth graders, I have a smaller number.
Yeah.
The idea, though, is well, when fifth graders become freshmen, then I have sixth graders who are sophomores, and then to that program, and I don't have an idea in terms of how the high school program will be structured, but foreseeably, the first couple of years, it will only be a JV program. And then, as the freshmen and sophomores become seniors and juniors, now we make it a varsity and a JV program. I'm open to making it a club program for the first couple of years until we get up to those. I know Middletown South started as a club program, and they funded it parent fund only for the first couple of years, and then they made it a full-blown varsity sport. However, we need to do is make it work is the idea. By way of background, I spent 2 years in Birmingham, Alabama, and I went to law school in New York City and worked for a judge down in Alabama. When I was down there, I met a bunch of guys from New York. When I played, we started the BYLA, Birmingham Youth Lacrosse Association. We then created Bama Wax, and then we got into high school down there. And the other Birmingham and the Alabama has a set travel team. They have a state championship, they have a set travel team, and they can travel all over the country and play other towns, other teams. We just about 5 years ago, we just graduated the first guy who started in the Navy, and they sent a couple guys full rides to the University of Denver. The element is the idea. These kids really embrace this sport. I have a kid today that wasn't using any facial stuff. Well, I went to his dad, I said, his dad is the president of the football program. I said, what's Christian doing? He's eating, sleeping, and reading lacrosse. All of us watch YouTube videos, one of the big face-offs. He was unbelievable. But that's kind of excitement is what I'm looking for. These parents, the kids are out there, the parents are out there with their sticks flying around. We had a year-end, and at the end of every season, we do our summer picnic, and it's a skills competition where all the kids do a fastest shot. We speed gun out to the rack. When you do fastest shot, gets a prize, get a little fiddle stick. Most accurate pass, put a projector on the goal, and you get it in, you get a point. Highest point gets a little extra short. The kids love it. We ended up finishing up with the parents, kids, the parents who have never played before were out there with their sticks, saying, I want to go fighting each other to get on the field because they had it so much fun. And that idea, that is really what we're all about. The idea is taking the next step, getting it out of high school, because once we get that, now we have a program behind us. I mean, it's a shame that Sharp River this year, Sharp River is Massachusetts. And then Matt Rice, they're 16 states in lacrosse, right? So their program has 60 kids in the kindergarten program. They won't play any other town because they have no record playing in town. They look at high school, and it's like a family. They all hang out, they play, and it's great. The kids guys graduate, they go off to college, they full run scholarships, and it's great. So that's what I'm trying to build in Hamilton. But we need to get it introduced in high school. And I don't really understand why we're not there yet.
Well, like the superintendent said, you have to communicate with them. I think
And last August, I had a meeting with Adam and John. And we've been going back and forth on email about it. I think I sent you an email or so. I gave them a proposal from a financial standpoint. Our club can figure out a way to raise their finances if we need to. Field availability is not an issue. Title IX, I looked at a little research, and we could employ an attorney to do some more research. I don't think Title IX will be an issue. We got to get over the hump, and I'm just trying to get a run list and figure out how to get it. All right, guys?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need a motion to consider agenda items H1 through L1, as amended.
Motion?
Any questions, discussions?
Mr. Acetola?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes?
Mrs. Canario?
Yes.
Mr. Carollo?
Yes.
Mrs. Fankhauser?
Yes, except to H4, the appointment of the Howell High School head soccer coach, I vote no. Boys soccer.
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Messinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Sutera?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Old business? New business?
I just want to, Leanne, can you stand up? So Leanne Rechtenwald was just approved as the new social studies / world language supervisor at Freehold High School. Leanne's 13-year vet from Colts Neck High School, teaches social studies there, has done some phenomenal work for us around our professional development over the past couple years. A real competitive process for that application. I am perhaps a little bit biased in saying this, but we have a number of very strong social studies teachers in the district. They tend to be real leaders, but there were 18 viable internal candidates that started that process, which is phenomenal for our district, and a lot of folks that have done a lot of really excellent work, and Leanne came through every round of those interviews on top, and we think she's going to do some wonderful things at Freehold High School, and I just want to welcome you, Leanne.
I need a motion to adjourn?
One more,
Oh.
I want to abstain from LA, L1 Jeanette Bruno. Conferences, meetings. Sorry, Mom.
It's okay. We're going to vote to rescind, right. So at this point, because the roll was called and the announcement of the resolutions was read, we will need to do a vote by the board to allow Mr. Bruno to change his vote for L1 to be an abstention as it relates to Jeanette Bruno. So we just need a
So I need a
motion.
motion to have Mr. Bruno rescind his vote,
To allow Mr. Bruno to modify his vote, yes.
to modify his vote on
Yep,
LA.
you said it right.
Motion.
Second.
Yes, Sam.
Discussion.
Any questions, discussions?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries.
Carries. Reflects abstention.
Now I need a motion for an adjournment. All in favor?
Dare we ask the votes?
Thank you, good night. Oh, I have to hit it?